Cuba is a small island in the Caribbean Sea. Cuba is an island that lays between the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. It shares its maritime borders with the Bahamas. It also shares it with Jamaica, Mexico, and the United States. Cuba's capital city is Havana. And right next to Havana, it's the National Capitol Building. It was once owned by Spain before they earned their independence, and on January 1st, they consider it their liberation day from all Spanish ruling. Cuba is, as of July 2017, the population is estimated to be 11,147,407 people. Their natural resources mostly include cobalt, nickel, iron, chromium, copper, salt, timber, silica, and petroleum. Their average life expectancy is about 79.6 years. And most of the people that live in this country have about 13.9 years of schooling. Their GDP index is of 80, and as of April 18, 2018, its current president is Miguel Diaz-Canel, which took over for Raul Castro. Fidel Castro was the president before Raul Castro, and he served as the head of the Communist Party from December 2nd to 1976 to February 24th of 2008. However, when he fell ill when he was in office, his brother took over for a few years. It is said that Fidel Castro was the head of the Communist Party for about 31 years, and his brother, who served the country as the head of the Communist Party, he himself served for 10 years. And although it's still run under one person, they do have legislators, and as of right now, the share of seats in parliament by women are 48.9%. But it wasn't always like that. Cuba fought for many years to be independent from Spain. They went through many hardships, and they fought many wars before they finally became independent. People like Jose Marti and Juan Wilberto Gomez, among others, spread the idea that Cuba should be a raceless society. As for Spain, Spain believed that there was a hierarchy where the people of color and lower classes were inferior to white people and the people who had money. In 1890, Marti formed a Cuban Revolutionary Party who eventually led their independence from Spain. When they finally gained their independence in Spain, the United States took over Cuba from Spain, and some people saw it as a bad thing because they were just leaving one country for another country. And people like Jose Marti believed that it was just the end of the war, but there was still much work to be done. They still wanted to be their independent country. Before Fidel Castro took over Cuba, Batista was a tyrant who terrorized the country with fear and violence for anyone who stood against his beliefs. Batista was backed by the US government, and they did not trust Fidel Castro. Due to the large fear of people that Batista was creating and all the kidnappings and violence, they wanted to uprise against him and get a better government for themselves. Although they took over from Batista and the presidents and all the presidents before them, they were then taken over by what they now consider dictators like Fidel Castro. In the 1960s, many people were afraid that they were losing their kids to communism, so a lot of people fled from Cuba, and many went to the United States. It is said that over 14,000 Cuban children who came to the US are remembered to be Pedro Pan kids. At the same time, many newspapers in the US and Mexico were running articles warning them that the United States was attacking Cuba. That was a big controversy between the US believing that Kennedy was attacking Cuba. The relationship between Cuba and the United States has not always been the best. There is still tension, and their ideas are not always the same. The US wants to try to implement democracy into Cuba, and Cuba has different ideas, and they believe that the people should be able to choose. However, they still are run by a dictator. Although the United States does not have a very good relationship with Cuba, Guantanamo is one very well-known place in Cuba where the United States has a US detention camp. It is a military prison located in Guantanamo Bay Naval Base, and there are many people that are detained there without trial. The camp was established there by President George W. Bush in 2002 during the War of Terror. However, most recently with Barack Obama, he had promised that he would close it down, but Congress prohibited the detainees to be imprisoned in the US during the Obama's administration. And then more currently, with President Donald Trump, he has signed an executive order to keep the prison camp open indefinitely. Cuba has a very unique history, and it definitely holds a lot of controversies that are looked at from outside of the country. And everybody has their own ideas of Cuba, but Cuba is still struggling to try to find a government and the freedom that the people need.